And welcome back to Velvet Al Watches Movies, the only podcast around where I, Velvet Al, watches movies. Wait, that's bad grammar. Where I, Velvet Al, watch movies, so you don't have to. And I've checked. It really is the only podcast out there featuring Velvet Al for watching movies. All for the sake that you don't have to. And boy, oh boy, I am excited for this week's episode. I am going to record my podcast without pants. That's how excited I am. I am watching Embrace of the Vampire, which is a remake of the classic film Embrace of the Vampire. Um, and when I say classic, it was a very shitty film, but if you're from my generation, Alyssa Milano, naked. Oh my god, that was just so exciting at the time. It was like Alyssa Milano, the chick from Who's the Boss, and she's naked. And many of a boy became a man that day. So this movie does not star any like big child actor that I'm aware of that has decided to shed her good girl image. I don't even know any of these people. Sharon Hinnedale is the star. I don't know. So I guess this is going to focus more on, the plot of Embrace of the Vampire. Whatever. I'm sure it's going to have a lot of nudity in order to live up to Embrace of the Vampire. So while it's not Alyssa Milano, and it's not like the same thing of having like good girl gone bad that you're like, oh my god, I had a crush on her and now I get to see her naked. There's not that level of like excitement to this. But it's got to have nudity. It's got to have hardcore nudity because otherwise, why remake Embrace of the Vampire? That was the whole point of the original movie. We start off in the 1700s and a girl is being exorcised or something. Um back then if you were on your period and got a little hormonal, they would accuse you of being possessed by a demon or something and have to do an exorcism. And but this one might actually be possessed because then a succubus monster just shows up out of nowhere. I, you know what? It's wrong of me to assume that because this demon is a woman, that she's a succubus. She just might be a female demon that wants to feast on the souls of good Puritan souls. Did I just say feast on the souls of souls? I believe I did. But now we're up to modern day, and this little blonde young lady is being dropped off at college, and apparently she was from an all Catholic girls' school. Oh, you couldn't have set this film at the all Catholic um. Oh, that would have been good. Like that movie Little Witches, and they were all Catholic schoolgirls, and the one girl like does the striptease in the window for the construction workers. Yes, that is one of the top film scenes ever, in my humble opinion. Yeah, why didn't you set this film at the Catholic schoolgirl? Why are you moving her to a regular college? Oh, yeah, because she's going to be tempted by the sins of the secular college. You're already dropping the ball, movie. But she moves in and she meets her new roommate. And her roommate's like, oh, hey, my parents drop in all the time, which is annoying. So, what about your parents? And Blondie's like, I don't have parents. Awkward. But, in all fairness, that's not something you're going to run into a lot that, your college roommate is an orphan. So, it wasn't insensitive of her to just kind of assume that she had parents. But I don't know. Maybe like we should all just stop assuming that people we meet have living parents. It could be, the kids from Party of Five. And, just awkward, like, oh, how's your parents? My parents are dead. So, I guess if you learn nothing else from my podcast, don't assume that people you meet, even if they're young, have living parents. Now, Blondie is walking through town and she passes by a Celtic shop and she sees a necklace in the window, a necklace of a pentagram. I think. I don't know. Is it a cult shop or a Celtic shop? Because I'm pretty sure like it said Celtic in the name of the shop. Um, I don't know. Are pentagrams used in Celtic imagery? I'm not sure. But and I could have maybe seen the necklace wrong, and maybe it wasn't a pentagram at all. But then the lady in the shop, I'm guessing the shop owner, she stares at Blondie, gives her an evil look. Ooh. I bet she comes into play later. And so Blondie goes to the local coffee shop and she's applying for a job and she's worked in an Italian shop before, so she knows how to make like macchiatos and actually even schools the guy giving the interview on how to actually make a proper macchiato. Like, oh, yeah, you could add that foam if you're making a cappuccino. So, I don't know, I think the guy likes her moxie, so he gives her a job and, is like, okay, what size are you for the uniform? And the other girls at the coffee shop, they're showing a lot of cleavage in their uniform. And the interview guy's like, oh, no, no, no. How you wear it is completely up to you. You don't have to show cleavage, but some of the girls, they want the tips. And to get the tips, you got to show the tits. No, he didn't say that. And as far as I know, that's not an actual saying. But it should be. Actually, I think it should be a saying for like men. If you want the tips, you got to show the tips. That is the motto of male strippers everywhere. Um, that's gonna be the motto of my OnlyFans page. I want some tips, so I'm gonna show you the tip, but just the tip. And then Blondie meets with I think the dean of the university, who tells her like, you got a scholarship, so you got to perform. Things aren't gonna be easy. They never are. And he wants the windows closed, the shades closed, because there's too much light in the room. And, he says, like, oh, I just had, eye surgery, so, that's why I need it. But his eyes look kind of weird. Like, his eyes look kind of demonic. Not demonic, but just kind of like that really pale shade. The iris color is very pale. So I think he's the head vampire. He's the head vampire, and she's gonna be in his embrace. So Blondie is walking the campus by herself at night, because apparently she didn't get that part of the orientation. That I mean, I guess being sheltered in an all-girls Catholic school, and your parents are dead, so they can't teach you that being a woman walking anywhere at night is dangerous. And this guy like walks up behind her. Luckily, she has a stick that she found on the ground and goes to hit him with it. But oh, it's just the new fencing coach who's just sneaking up on girls in the middle of the night on campus. Sure, it happens, and he knows who she is because he's the fencing coach, and he knows that she's gonna be fencing. How like he hasn't met her yet, but I don't know. I'm not a coach, so I don't know, and I never played sports, So I don't know if the coaches get like full rundowns on the students that are going to be on the team this year. But she heads back to her room, and her roommate's slutty little best friend. Is it kind of mean to call her the slutty best friend? But that's kind of like she's kind of a mean girl type vibe, and she's telling like her friend to, slut it up, tits up, ass out if you're going out. And so they go out to party. Meanwhile, Blondie, she goes to sleep, and she has either a vision or a nightmare. A vision of a nightmare, or a nightmare of a vision that she's asleep, and this creepy old guy is trying to get on top of her, and I guess basically just rape her in her sleep. But something kills him. Seems like it might be a monster. Maybe it's the vampire. And she wakes up screaming, and oh no, she's in the lobby, and everyone's running out to see what all the screaming is. So she quickly stands up and pretends that, oh, yeah, I heard some screaming and I ran out too to see what it was. Nope, the screaming definitely was not me. Even though, I mean, it seemed like people were already there in the lobby, seeing her stand up. And so I assume they probably would have seen that it was her screaming, because it just seemed like they were already there instead of coming out after hearing screaming. And generally, plus when you hear screaming, most people just kind of stay inside. They're like, oh no, I don't want to get involved in this. So Blondie walks into her room, and oh no, her roommate's there, topless, making out with a boy. Oh, this is awkward, and the boy runs off like, yeah, sorry to interrupt. And we get tits at the 15-minute mark, so this film just barely passes the Velvet Owl test. And if you're unfamiliar with the Velvet Owl test, a movie should show gratuitous nudity within the first 15 minutes. Because then that way, if the movie sucks and you turn it off, at least you've seen some gratuitous nudity. So this film just barely got it in at the 15-minute mark. And so, the roommate's apologetic, like, oh, I'm sorry, I should have, I didn't think you were home. And the other one's like, Blondie's like, I should have knocked. Which, yes, you should have knocked when you share a room with someone. That's just common courtesy. They could be pooping the bed for all you know. And if someone's pooping the bed, they kind of want their privacy. But they're both going to the same class, I guess, so hey, let's walk together to class. So they head to class, and the professor is the fencing coach, who was just a guest star on an episode of The Good Doctor that I just watched the other day. Just kind of crazy. Um, I don't know why that's crazy. It just seems crazy to me. Like, hey, I just saw you in something else, and I have no idea who you are because you are not famous. But it's a class on mythology and monsters and all that good stuff. I probably actually would like this class, just not by the professor. And the roommate thinks that, wow, the professor is hot. And this is going to be awesome because he is so hot, and I'm going to get to stare at him all day for the whole semester. Well, actually, it's only one class, so she's not going to stare at him for all day, just an hour a day. But that's enough because he's that hot. Meanwhile, Blondie, her name's Charlotte, so I think I'm going to start trying to actually call the characters by their actual names and stop being so flippant and just call her Blondie. But I'm probably going to slip up a lot and still call her Blondie. But Charlotte, our main character, she sees a guy in the class writing on his arm, and she has a flash of thinking it's that he's cutting his arm open, which gives her a flashback or a vision of someone getting their arm sliced, and she thinks it's her, maybe. No, I think it's pretty. I'm pretty sure it was the girl that was getting the exorcism at the beginning of the film, and it starts freaking her out, but she manages to maintain her composure. Yeah, she maintained her composure better than I did. And then she goes to work at the coffee shop, and who's the customer but the strange lady that was staring at her from the Celtic or occult shop. Still not sure which. Um, Maybe a cult shop because she's got a bit of a Romanian accent. So I don't think she's Celtic. Maybe. I don't know. Because Celtic's Irish, but maybe could have merged with Romanians at some point. I'm I'm not gonna rule that out. I'm not gonna be racist and say a Romanian person can't also be Celtic. Um it's a pretty bad accent though. But it's the Blue Fairy from Once Upon a Time. So I will call her the Blue Fairy. Because she's probably got some magic powers anyhow. And, you know, Charlotte makes her drink, and she looks at the drink, and it's like the milk's curdling. And that's a bad omen. Ooh. Or maybe Charlotte just sucks at making drinks. But, because the Blue Fairy's Romanian and she can have visions. Oh, and something with Charlotte's necklace. I don't know. I'm already not paying attention. I am just waiting for Charlotte to get naked because it's got to happen, right? I mean, it's a remake of Embrace of the Vampire, so the main character is going to get embraced by a vampire, and she's going to get naked, and that's all I'm here for. So Charlotte goes to her first fencing practice, and she's in the locker room. The girls are changing, and one of the extras kind of shows her tits a little. You see a little side nipple. But the captain, she's a total bitch, and she's like, "You're gonna refer to me as captain." And Charlotte's like, "Okay, captain." And so they get their practice, and the coach is there, and they're doing fencing stuff. I don't know. I don't understand fencing. It's like sword fighting, except you got the plastic tips, and you got to wear the big outfits. So it just kind of looks weird. I've always thought, like, I don't know. I mean, I would like fencing if they didn't wear the big outfits and they used real swords. So I guess what I'm saying is I would like to see actual sword fighting instead of fencing. We need more sword fighting. I I'm all for, like, get a college scholarship on sword fighting, not fencing. 'Cause if you're a good sword fighter, then you deserve to go to college for free. Just my personal opinion. Boom, boom, boom. Yeah, that was my grandfather clock going boom, boom, boom. But so Charlotte gains lots of points, and the coach is all like, "Charlotte, you are awesome. We love you." And so now it's nighttime because I guess the practice was at night. And once again, they're just roaming the campus, Charlotte by herself, when a guy sneaks up on her, and it's the guy from the coffee shop. He's like, "Oh, you forgot your tips." Because I think he wants to give her a tip, just a tip. Yeah, I think I'm going to run that joke into the ground. But that's awfully nice of him to just kind of sneak up on her in the middle of the night well, not middle of the night, but it's very dark. And he just sneaks up on her just to give her some money. But the evil dean has seen this transpire, and he warns Charlotte, like, you gotta stay focused. Because I think what he's trying to say is, like, don't go around fucking dudes. Because why is the dean just, like, roaming the campus at night? watching Charlotte. Oh yeah, I forgot to mention that he was in the classroom earlier too, watching Charlotte, because the dean is the vampire. I'm sure of it. So then Charlotte's heading back to her room, and the room next to hers, like the door is open, and she hears what sounds like two people having sex. So she walks in and is surprised to find two people having sex. It's, and the girl who's writing the guy, I think she sees Charlotte and seems to be totally cool with it. And then Charlotte has a vision that suddenly that girl has a snake while she's riding this dude, which I don't know. I don't know if I would be into that if I was having sex with a girl and she was holding the snake at the same time. I might get a little creeped out, but that's just me. I'm not going to kink shame if you like to have sex while holding a snake. I also feel it probably would be bad for the snake. That might just be traumatizing for the snake, actually. So, but not my place to judge on what you do in your bedroom. But Charlotte quickly runs out of there when she realizes, oh, they were just having sex. But it wasn't really just realizing that they were having sex that embarrassed her and made her run out. It was the vision of seeing the woman with a snake, because then that makes her a demon or something. I don't know. She could just be like one of those dancers that has snakes. Seriously, of Charlotte's vision so far, this was like the tamest. But it was a vision that included more tits, so I was down with it. Now Charlotte's having more nightmare visions of whatever happened back in the 1700s, when suddenly she's woken up by the captain of the fencing team and some of the other fencing girls. Oh no, it's time for the hazing initiation. So Charlotte and the other new girls, they're forced to stand on chairs, and they're like outside in the pitch black dark. Some sort of garden thing. I don't know. I'm not sure where they are. Out of view of people, I guess. But so the new girls, they have to stand on chairs and they have to answer questions. And if they can answer 3 questions right, they get to step down and join the team. But every time they get a question wrong, they have to drink and take off clothes. And these are very hard questions if you're not into fencing. It's like, when did fencing become a sport? When did they go to the Olympics? And it's like, if you're really into fencing, like, you probably would know this stuff. Me, like, yeah, I don't give a fuck about fencing, so I don't know any of these answers. So I would get drunk. But the thing is, she said, like, you have to drink and take off a piece of clothing. And they all drink, but the taking off clothes seems to be like vary from girl to girl. like like some will take off during some questions and some will take clothes off during another part of question, and Charlotte takes nothing off. Like, but she gets really fucking drunk because this is her first time drinking and she's about to have alcohol poisoning. But luckily one of the other girls, she's there to support Charlotte and helps take Charlotte home. Meanwhile, the groundskeeper's like, "Hey, ladies, be careful. You don't know what's out there tonight." Which, ironic last words. Because a monster kills the groundskeeper. I think it was a monster. We don't really get to see what it is that kills the groundskeeper. I'm guessing it's the vampire. Meanwhile, the girl that's taking Charlotte home, um, they just go and have some hot lesbian sex. Which I gotta say, it's for a softcore film, it gets kind of steamy. Like, it very it skirts the line there. It skirts the line. It would probably be like a rare double X rating. which I've always wanted someone to just come out and make a movie that was rated double X. Because, like X meant adult. It didn't mean porn. It just meant adult films. Like kids should not watch it. But the porn industry was like, okay, we're gonna take it up a notch, and your movies are rated X. Ours are triple X because they're so fucking hot and steamy and super for adults. But so there's that double X that just never got utilized. And I don't know, like it'd be one step above like adults only, but not quite hardcore pornography. And I would think that's the sweet spot. So someone aim for a double X. And I mean, you could just label yourself double X because triple X isn't an actual rating. The porn industry just took it on because they thought like that is some good marketing. And it is. And why am I talking about that when I could just be watching some softcore lesbian sex? I gotta say, if you're into like softcore eroticism, this is a good scene. This hits everything you would want in a softcore lesbian sex scene. Two hot women going down it. Well, only one woman goes down because Charlotte doesn't do any of the going down. The other girl goes down on Charlotte, and then Charlotte has a vision that the other girl is actually a vampire or something and has fangs and is biting her and drinking blood. And it's not even Charlotte's time of the month. No, it's a vampire eating real blood. What? Those are actual words that came out of my mouth. But Charlotte wakes up. So it was all a dream. Or was it? Now, Charlotte has overslept. Oh, poor naughty girl. And she gets to her class late, the monsters and mythology, and the one that's taught by that hot Professor Coach. And he's going on about, like, what did Bram Stoker mean? And what did Mary Shelley mean? And did she make the Frankenstein monster more human? And do, which causes her to fall asleep. I don't blame her. I probably would have fallen asleep too if I had this guy as a professor. Even though he's so hot and dreamy. So dreamy that she dreams about him. And dreams that she's making out with him. But suddenly, she's woken up by the professor. Class is let out, and she's the only one left there. And he's, like, trying to tell her, like, just try to be good and something, because you have a lot of promise, and you don't want to fail. And she's like, okay, yeah, I'll take your advice. And she goes to work, but she starts dropping mugs, because when she looks at them, she sees worms crawling in them. Oh no, she's having nightmare visions. She's going crazy. A little cuckoo, if you will. But her boss is like so super cool because he wants to bang her, obviously. And he's like, oh, that's okay. I'm not even going to dock it from your check. Like, okay, it's one thing to be cool about it. Be like, okay, yeah, I understand. You're probably going through a lot of stress because you're in school. And you probably have, like, tests and shit coming up. And you got your fencing thing. So, like, okay, you drop some cups. But they gotta get docked out of her paycheck, right? You're just gonna... How is she gonna learn responsibility if she faces no consequences for her actions? I'm just saying. I understand, too. I sympathize with her, but, no such thing as a free lunch. It's one of the first things they teach us in economics class. So, but she doesn't take economics, I don't think. So she doesn't understand the concept of there's no free lunch, so she gets to break cups without having to be the one to pay for them. Because boss dude wants to bang her, and he walks her to her class, and you're like, hey, we got a camping trip going on this weekend. I'd like you to come. And, damn it, There was such an obvious joke right there, and I didn't go for it. And you might say, like, well, that's good because that was low-hanging fruit. I'm all about low-hanging fruit. Low-hanging fruit does taste as good as the high-hanging fruit. I don't know where this notion comes that low-hanging fruit is a bad thing. It's still fruit. It still tastes delicious. But she's all like, okay, yeah, I'll come. Again, the low-hanging fruit. You can make the joke yourself then. You know, you don't want me to make the joke on it. You make the joke on it then. But now she's getting ready for fencing practice, and the team captain, she comes by like, oh, hey, I saw that you were hanging out with that dude bro earlier. Just so you know, like, guys like him, they're only after one thing, and they have a... Sorry about that. I will not edit that out, because editing takes work. But she's like, they have a bet, and he bets that he can bang you in a few days, so, you know, stay strong. Now, obviously, they could be a bet. I'm not saying there isn't a bet, but obviously the captain is saying this just to get in her head. And it works. Charlotte's completely off her game during practice, and so she's not chosen to compete in Saturday's game because, you know, if she can't keep her mind in the game during practice, she's going to fail during the actual competition. We don't need that. We need the win. So sorry, Charlotte, you're not competing Saturday. So back in the locker room, the girl that ate Charlotte out last night is trying to comfort her and say, it's okay, and goes in for a kiss, but Charlotte is just complete cold fish and like, and the girl is like, okay, no means no. I'm a woman, not a guy, so I understand the concept of no means no. You don't want to make out with me, that's okay. I'm out of here. So that's good. See, that's the difference between men and women. Um, the woman, she realizes, like, okay, this other girl does not want to make out with me, so I'm gonna leave. I don't need this hassle. If it was a guy, especially if it was probably like Coffee Boss, like he's just gonna keep trying to get that kiss. So Charlotte's all alone in the locker room because everyone else has left, and she thinks she hears something, and she looks in the shower. There's nothing there. So she is stripped down to her underwear, but does not take the rest of her clothes off, does not take her underwear off before she turns on the shower. Why? I'll tell you why, and why you should too. Helps cut down on laundry. It's economical. You wash yourself and you wash your clothes at the same time. It's just, she's thinking about the environment. But unfortunately, when she turns on the shower, it's not water that comes out, it's blood, which stains her clothes. See, Charlotte, had you just taken your clothes off, and don't give me that, well, I don't want to show nudity because perverts like Velvet Al are watching this movie. I already saw you naked during the lesbian sex scene, so I could see you naked during the shower again. But, I mean, it's not right of me to demand that. Like, it would have been nice if she got naked for the shower. But no, I understand. You don't want to be naked for the shower, and that is now why the blood has stained your clothes. Except it's all a dream. So maybe it's just Dream Charlotte that does not want to get naked in the shower. And Dream Charlotte's dream clothes are now dream stained with dream blood. But she wakes up just kind of in the middle of campus, and the dean just happens to be walking there. He's very creepy. I'm still leaning towards him being the vampire. And he's like, Do you want to go talk or make sure you're okay? And she's like, oh, no, 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 you're creepy. I'm staying away from you. I gotta go to my room. So Charlotte goes to her room and she needs to take her crazy pills. So she tries opening it, but she's having trouble opening the pill bottle because pill bottles on prescription bottles are really fucking hard to open, especially when you're like panicky. So I get it, Charlotte. But then she tries to open it with her teeth. Now that's it's a dumb idea, Charlotte, and her teeth start falling out, which I think the idea that the film is trying to go like, oh, her body's deteriorating and her teeth are falling out. But she just tried to open a pill bottle with her teeth. Yeah, her teeth are gonna fall out. She's fucking breaking them trying to open the pill bottle, but it's just another crazy vision she's having. Ooh, she's losing her mind because the vampire is inside her mind. And isn't that really what it is? Like, there's a metaphor that the teacher should be doing in class that the vampire is within ourselves. Sounds like this type of bullshit he'd say. And then at the next practice, Charlotte's head still isn't in the game. So the coach calls an early dismissal. Everyone can leave except for Charlotte because he's going to get to her and try to show her the error of her ways or something. I don't know. He starts giving a lot of metaphors that are super pretentious, and he tries to teach her and makes it like super sexual of like a fencing thing, and she's doing good, but he accidentally nicked her and she's bleeding. So he sends her home because he can't have her bleeding. Maybe he's the vampire and he saw the sight of blood. He's like, oh, if you don't leave now, I'm going to try to suck your blood. Can't do that. Can't reveal that I'm actually the vampire. So get out of here. Leave. And he yells at her because she doesn't want to leave. But it's like, when you got to tell your dog to like go to the farm because you're dying, dog. And please leave. I don't even want you. Does that really happen? Is that even anything that's actually happened in a movie? Because I feel like that's something that's happened in movies, but maybe it's just like I've seen in parodies of like they just tell the animal because they can't keep the animal like, go, I don't even want you. And that's kind of what the coach is doing now. Like, go, I don't want to fence with you anymore and I don't want to suck your blood. At work, Charlotte is all passive aggressive with her boss because, she believes that he's just trying to bang her as part of a bet, which may or may not be true. But anyhow, he shouldn't be trying to bang her because there's power dynamics at play. A boss should not bang the employees. It's it's a gray area. I mean, it's technically not illegal, but again, power dynamics. Probably best to just not. Um, yeah, I was gonna, because at some point I was gonna refer to something that's happening in current events, but now I don't remember what the event was that I wanted to reference or what scene made me think of it. So, but that's okay. I shouldn't reference current events because then that just ages poorly and just really dates this podcast, and people listening to it 30 years from now will be like, what the fuck is he talking about? Who am I kidding? People who listen to this podcast these days are going, what the fuck is he talking about? No, who am I kidding? No one's listening to this podcast. So, but still, like, he shouldn't be trying to bang his employee. And so she's all super passive aggressive and she leaves, and she can't go to her room because the roommate and the roommate's bitchy best friend is there. Like, oh, I can't take this. So she goes to the gym and she just needs some alone time. But Professor Coach shows up and he apologizes for earlier, like, being an asshole, but I just want you to be your best, and let's make out. And he starts to go in for a kiss, but she wakes up. It was all a dream. Meanwhile, the dean has decided to pay Professor Coach a visit. And I think the dean might be wearing lipstick. Like, it's not like overt, but I think he's got something going on. I don't think that's his natural lip color. Just doesn't seem, something about his lips seem a little off. And Professor Coach lives in a log cabin. Like, what the fuck? Like, where do you get a log cabin? I don't know where this film takes place. Okay, log cabin. Like, I picture log cabins being like in the middle of the woods. Like, that there's no houses anywhere near, and there's pretty much no civilization. Because why else would you want to live in a log cabin unless you're just completely removed from civilization, save for the occasional, like, warrior on their way needing to learn a magic trick or something? Why don't we ever learn more about the backstories of those people? I I want that to be a video game. Like, you're just this old master living in the woods, and like warriors come along and they need to learn that one trick, that one special magic move to help them become better and defeat their enemies. And only you can train them and show them that magic trick. And if that's not what you want to do in your with your life, why are you living in a log cabin? And why is there a log cabin near civilization to begin with? It is so weird. And I mean, it's creepy because he's got lots of candles lit. Because I guess there's no electricity to the log cabin. And all sorts of medieval weapons all around. And, that should be your first clue that something's not quite right. But the dean is coming to him because there's been an accusation that he's been having inappropriate behavior with Charlotte. And Professor Coach is like, "Oh, did Charlotte tell you this?" Like, "Oh, no, there's just an accusation." And Professor Coach is like, "Oh, yeah, you know how it is. These girls just get jealous if you give a little too much preferential treatment to someone, and they make up lies." And the dean's like, "I never said it was a girl that accused you." "Well, then who did accuse them?" I think the dean is just making up this allegation because he sees that something is not right with Charlotte, and Charlotte's spending time with. Oh yeah, because didn't the dean run into her after? No, wait. I wanted to say after like the sparring session where she got cut, but I don't think he ran into her after that. Um, it's just his gut feeling, probably. I don't know. I don't know if we'll ever learn because Professor Coach is the vampire and eats the dean. Well, doesn't eat him, but just chomps on his neck. And the dean's dead. So I don't know if we'll ever learn whether someone actually made the accusation or if the dean just had a gut feeling and went and approached Professor Coach like, "You're doing something with Charlotte, aren't you?" Like, maybe I'm gonna eat your throat. Oh, Charlotte goes to see the Romanian fortune teller lady to find out what's going on with my visions. Something weird's going on, right? And so the Romanian opens up with a knife, cuts open Charlotte's hand to get some blood, and oh no, it's vampire blood. And apparently the Romanians' family ancestors created the vampire bloodline that has led to Charlotte, and a lot of complicated stuff. And apparently, because Charlotte's a virgin of the vampire bloodline, the main vampire, who they don't know who it is yet, can use her, and if she gives herself to the vampire willingly, then the vampire will become human again, but Charlotte will spend all of eternity in hell. So, you know, she might not want to do that. But my question, is Charlotte a virgin? 'Cause didn't she get it on with the teammate? Did that really happen or not? I thought that happened because the teammate surely was trying to get some again. Because she was like, hey, remember what we did last night? And Charlotte was like, no, like, oh, are you trying to forget what happened last night? So something happened. I'm pretty sure that actually did happen of the teammate going down on Charlotte, which means she is not a virgin. Or is it one of those, oh, well, lesbian sex doesn't count because oral sex doesn't count. Oral sex counts. Okay, people? Oral sex counts, and if two women have sex, that counts as sex. Charlotte is not a virgin anymore. What fucking like misogynistic and homophobic vampire bloodlines like, oh, she didn't get the cock, so she's technically not a or she's technically still a virgin, so I can take her blood. I don't like these rules. And granted, maybe the lesbian sex didn't happen, but I'm pretty sure it did happen, and so I think Charlotte should not be considered a virgin. And then plus Charlotte, Charlotte doesn't want to kill the vampire. So the obvious, easy thing to do is to just go fuck someone. Lose your virginity, then the vampire will have no interest in you. And granted, you don't know who the vampire is yet, which is why you then leave town, find someone that can't possibly be after you because they don't even know who you are, hook up with them, lose your virginity. You are now safe from any vampire. Just spitballing solutions here, Charlotte. You've got options. And use a dildo. If the lesbian uses a strap-on, then that would break her hymen. If she still has a hymen, because that is like more bullshit anyhow. But if she uses a strap-on, then see, these are the questions I would be asking. So, if she had sex with another woman and the woman used a strap-on, is that close enough that she would no longer be considered a virgin by the vampire bloodline standards? Questions. I am just asking questions here, people. But Charlotte leaves, and I don't think Charlotte's even figured out what she's going to do yet. But the vampire, he knows what was going on. He must have been listening. And so he kills the Romanian. Now, Charlotte feels like her life is just spiraling out of control, and she finds out that the dean has been murdered. Well, not murdered, because they think it's a wild animal did it. And she just can't handle it anymore. And her roommate's telling her, like, we're here for you. And, the captain of the fencing team, she's a lying bitch. Because the boss of the coffee shop, who I guess is like her bestie or something, he would never take a bet to try to bang you. If he wants to bang you, it's because he wants to bang you. And so Charlotte says, you know what, you're right. I'm going to go on this camping trip, and that'll help clear my mind. And, it seems like things are going to be good. And Charlotte and Coffee Boss Dude, they go off into the woods. They're going to go get it on. Oh, yeah. Meanwhile, the roommate and her boyfriend, they're starting to get it on. Oh, yeah. Except suddenly, the boyfriend turns into the vampire. And the vampire, like Professor Coach vampire dude, he bites her neck and she starts bleeding all over the place. And he goes, yum, 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 yum. Okay, he doesn't make that sound. But would it be too much for one vampire movie to show, to have like the vampire start making noises like that when they're eating their victim, like yum, yum, num, 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 num? Just show that he's enjoying it. Meanwhile, Charlotte is like, you know what, dude, bro, you can bang me. Go ahead, just have at it, because this is what I want. Even though, she doesn't know whether he's the vampire or not. It's not even in her mind. She's like, I just want to get banged. Which, understandable. You go, girl. You go get that cock. But unfortunately, before he can do anything, he's just whisked away into the air and taken away. Probably from the vampire. So the vampire's like, oh, no, 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 no. She's got to stay a virgin. And by virgin, I mean no male cock can go in there. She can have all the lesbian sex she wants, because apparently that's okay, but no male cock. And, she's trying to explain to the police, like, I have no idea what the fuck happened. And just, the police just don't know what to make of it. Was it a wild animal that attacked? Probably. Well, yeah, because I consider vampires wild animals. They are no better. They are worse than wild animals. Wild animals attack on instinct. They're not trying to break a curse, and they don't care whether you're a lesbian or a virgin. Fucking vampires. So Charlotte goes to her room and finds a book that had been left there for her by the Romanian woman that I think gives the rules of how to kill a vampire. And so she knows what she must do. She must kill the vampire. So she goes to Professor Coach's house. Which I'm not sure how she knew he was the vampire. Was this part of the conversation with the Romanian lady? I probably really should have paid attention to that, shouldn't I? Whatever, she knows. So she's at the log cabin, and Professor Coach is there. And they have a sword fight that lasts about 10 seconds. And he starts giving a sob story about how he doesn't want to be the way he is. And he starts making out with her. And she asks him to show her his monster face or whatever, his monster form. And so he turns into his monster form, which is just him, but with like blue veins all over his face. And she's making out with him, and while distracting him, she grabs a cross and stabs him with it. And he, with his last gasp, well, it's not his last gasp, but from the pain, he bites her on the neck. Which, really, I mean, well, I guess, like, it's last effort, like, oh, you killed me, I'm fucking killing you. Because, she had all the power in the situation, because he needed her to give herself willingly in order to break the curse. So she had all the power. But, so he bites her, and she opens the curtain, and the sunlight sets him on fire. Which, that's right, daylight kills vampires. So how has he been walking around the daylight this whole time? Is it just only when he's in his vampire form that daylight kill him? Again, I probably should have paid attention to what that Romanian lady was saying. So, yeah, I guess he had to be in vampire form. I don't know. I'm pretty sure that's not part of vampire lore, that a vampire has to be in vampire form in order. But I don't know, maybe he's just like a half vampire. So, he's like Blade. He's just a daywalker. I I don't know. I give up. That's where the movie ends. She got bit, so is she a vampire now? And I still want to know how lesbian sex factors in to the vampire curse. She is not a virgin. She had lesbian sex. She got eaten out. And she didn't, I don't think she did anything to the other girl, but she got eaten out. I think that counts. She is not a virgin. Oh, jeez. Whatever. velvetal@hotmail.com. I promise if any of you ever email me, I will read it on the air. I might even actually respond to your email. If not, you can leave a comment in the comment section if you're on YouTube. Till next time, I love you all.